there, my name's Tina and I do cosmetic acupuncture. Today I'm very lucky to have Debra Betts. She is the author of Pregnancy in Acupuncture and Childbirth. It's a fantastic book. I used it when I was pregnant. It really helped me. At the time I couldn't buy it, it was completely out of print, and it's now currently available from the Journal of Chinese Medicine. It's even on sale, it's under £40, and it's such a fantastic book. I really, really recommend getting it. Debra is a fantastic educator and leader in the field of women's health. We're going to discuss many of the resources she has available and what we can learn from her. This particular talk is really not just applicable to people who are in the field of acupuncture. It's definitely of interest to people in the midwifery area and people interested in caring for women while they're pregnant and post-childbirth and during childbirth, so also doulas. And anyone into natural health should definitely consider this book. It's incredibly beautifully laid out, very, very clear, has a huge amount of resources and illustrations. Anyway, I'm going to hand over to Debra, and I'm going to just turn my mic off. And Debra's going to tell you a little bit about herself, how she got into acupuncture. And yeah, over to you, Debra. Thank you so much.
Hi. So thanks for the opportunity. This idea came about because there was a temporary blip in the book being unavailable, and it's really great that people are interested in the aspect of pregnancy that I find so interesting. So my background is of nursing, and then I came into acupuncture, and then I came into really looking at women's health. So the idea being sort of over 20 years ago is that there are a lot of things in pregnancy that women do not have to suffer with, just because there's lots of women who have back pain or have, suffer from a whole range of conditions, from the nausea to the hemorrhoids and the constipation and the breech and many of the other minor pregnancy conditions. That there are ways of helping women move through pregnancy such a much more positive experience. So I went from sort of a private practice, which is one aspect where you're just involved in these conditions, to working with midwives who wanted to understand and learn acupuncture because they could see what was happening, and they wanted to know if they were able to help women in this way as well. So once I started up teaching midwives very short acupuncture courses, so it was only 6 weekends, it became really evident that there was a lot more, that this was a really fulfilling a gap that really needed to be talked about. And hence the book was written based on the idea of teaching midwives and their experiences of using in pregnancy, so that it went beyond an acupuncturist using it to this fact that there was, this had a real place within Western medicine. And I suppose with my nursing background, I just feel that acupuncture should be available as an option for women. So, and not only those who can access private acupuncture care, but women as just a mainstream health choice. So I was very lucky in that I had a fantastic editor who helped me put the book together, which is Peter Dedman, known to many acupuncturists in the UK. So the credit for the fact that it's easy to read largely is down to the many emails he sent me asking me to explain things and saying this section is too long, or I haven't explained things well enough in this other section. So I just want to credit him for that. And the midwives who really wanted to learn how to use acupuncture because they saw it as such a useful tool. At the moment, what it's led to in New Zealand is starting up a hospital acupuncture clinic. So we've been running that for over 10 years now, and we have a sort of run it with acupuncture students through the New Zealand School of Acupuncture, so that we can provide free acupuncture care to women. So that's what we have on at the moment. And I just have the Acupressure resources on site, so you can go to my website and you'll find there's some videos, and there's a little free acupressure booklet, and there's a link to an app that you can download, and that's all about how you can use acupressure in labour to facilitate positive responses and provide pain relief. So I'm not sure what else you would like to know, Jacinda. It was just basically my journey has been through finding it really useful for myself when I was in pregnancy.
Really helpful. I know it's very basic for you because you're totally aware of all the amazing things that acupuncture and acupressure can help women during pregnancy and childbirth. But could you just discuss it? Like, imagine I'd never ever heard of acupuncture, and I was pregnant, and I was somewhere, and I had a situation, well, like I had a breech birth. Could we just for people who maybe, I know this is for the acupuncturists probably very obvious and known, but could you just discuss some of the main things that you think people from a Western medical perspective don't understand that acupuncture can assist with?
Okay, so I mean that's really interesting because there is an evidence base. So there is quite a lot of research out, and I should say also my journey took me on to doing some PhD research in this, just so that I've got immersed in this field from a lot of different aspects. But there is an evidence base for using acupuncture and it being safe in pregnancy, because that's the main question: is it safe? And that led me into a whole lot of research and as I said, doing research studies into bleeding in pregnancy. So the idea is, first of all, is it safe? And that there is quite a strong evidence base for acupuncture being safe for some of the things that many midwives or many caregivers will know about to talk about with women, and that is the nausea, the breech, providing pain relief in labour, and and back pain. So there's quite a strong evidence base for that. But for me, that is just really a tiny aspect of what we see in pregnancy. And the broad aspect is that you really don't want pregnant women to suffer anything like not being able to sleep properly, feeling tired and exhausted, having heartburn, anything that is bringing people down and making them feel tired and exhausted is something that we want to deal with. There's a lot of emotional aspects in pregnancy, and sometimes people feel, I've just got to soldier on, whereas actually Chinese medicine is quite clear that there's a real value in preparing to have a baby and being as healthy as possible. So there's anything that's happening in your life or anything that's happening, in your pregnancy, acupuncture may be a really useful tool to bring your body back into a space where you can get back in a coping mechanism, or just that you're not suffering. So just because people say, oh yes, that's normal, this always happens in pregnancy, doesn't mean that you have to suffer from the heartburn and the constipation, the vulval varices and the back pain. Just because it's not bad doesn't mean that you have to suffer through it, because the aim of Chinese medicine is to have these really healthy women having a normal physiological birth, whatever that's going to turn out to be. And I think Western medicine can be a really useful intervention, but you still want to enter pregnancy and labour as healthy as possible, because that's going to aid your recovery. And I should say, the Chinese were writing about this from like 500.
I agree. Oh no, it's not some luxury. It's
the
like
healthiest labour possible. And I don't think this was because, I don't think this should be seen as like that they were being sort of extra nice to women or thought that women needed pampering. This isn't an extra for women that, yes, it's not an extra thing. It was just seen as very common sense. And I come from a farming background. So to me, it's like you keep your breeding stock healthy. So they really saw the importance of making women healthy in pregnancy so that you could actually birth your baby, to your best of your ability, because then it was your duty in life to look after that baby and also to get pregnant again. So you had to be as healthy as possible. And so the literature is very much around not waiting for these little symptoms to become, really exhausting. It's that if you're not sleeping properly, if you're having problems with your digestion, or even if you've got sort of minor back pain that's waking you up at night, all of these things, or you're having trouble sleeping because you're just really finding it hard, to cope with all the different changes, all of that is important to address. So coming back to your question about what can it treat, there is the research literature to say that it's safe, and that when you compare it to control groups, acupuncture for nausea, acupuncture for back pain, acupuncture for anxiety and depression, acupuncture for breech, all of those have no, there's no more side effects from that than you would for other normal routine care.
Oh yeah, it's like fantastic for bringing on labour. It's, I mean,
so
from other people I've spoken to, people tend to find that pregnancy and acupuncture is exceptionally effective. Is that your experience?
Nausea, or you have a breech baby, or suddenly your induction date is looming and you want to use acupuncture to bring on labour. So the real Well, the real experience for me is working with midwives is it's about preparing your body for labour. So rightening the cervix, helping the baby move into a good position, helping you make sure that you've got that you're sleeping and that there's no sort of physical pain. So all of those aspects are more important, and that's sort of from 36 weeks onwards, coming in for a weekly visit to sort of really help promote all the hormonal responses, rather than waiting until you're nearly overdue and then desperately trying to stimulate your body to do this kind of much more violent response. So what happened for me was working with the midwives is they were totally amazed at the difference it made in their practice when they could work with this preparation treatment rather than waiting and then trying to do intervention. So all of this, I guess what I'm saying to people, it's about acupuncture. The strength of it is preventative medicine. So it's about taking aspects of pregnancy and helping you move through them so that you don't develop the potential complications. And that if you do notice things that are not quite, everyone says, oh yeah, that's normal, you just put up with it. We would say that in acupuncture terms, that you want to actually come back to a state where you don't have to put up with that pain and discomfort, and certainly make it to minimize it rather than be overwhelmed. So I would really like the idea of it being a sort of a routine care that people could access before.
So basically, we should really, here in the UK and maybe other countries, we should really be adopting this. We should be training all our midwives to understand, even if people don't like needles, you have an acupressure model, which just
really excites me.
It involves massage and touching, so it's not as, even if you are a patient and you are not keen on, say, acupuncture, you could always do the acupressure model yourself at home, right?
Well, it depends what you're treating. So certainly for the acupressure for pain relief and labour, that works really well because somebody's doing that for hours.
I'm going to ask you very straightforward questions. Let's imagine I'm pregnant, I'm feeling terrible. I'm not crazy about the idea of needles. Give me a scale. How effective is acupuncture with a needle versus acupressure in terms of like quickness of results? Just, I mean, it's anecdotal. Totally no facts. It's just more of a intuitive, in your experience, what's the difference between, say, an acupressure treatment and a qualified acupuncturist such as yourself giving a course of treatments to address a problem?
Well, as you know, that's too, because the acupressure points for some people can be useful if they, so it's almost like acupressure covers, like the points for nausea cover a wide base. And so if you suit that base, then they can be effective for you. Most of the women that I see in practice, it hasn't covered that base, because that's why they turn up at the clinic. It's because they've already tried the acupressure and they need an individual diagnosis. So it's because in Chinese medicine, there can be many different reasons why your body's been overwhelmed by the nausea, for example, or even for back pain, why your body can't respond to keep it within a minimal level of discomfort, and why it's gone to that sort of extreme, back pain that's giving you so much trouble. So for us, it's different meridians, it's different pathways, and it's different underlying health issues that make the problems appear differently. And that can be quite a hard concept to explain to people, so that when we
I just want to say, in my experience, I had my partner do lots of massage, basically acupressure for me, and that was lovely. But for me, when I had really bad nausea, I did some acupuncture on myself, and it for me personally, it was like a light switch. It just
will make you worse.
Poof, it for me personally, it was spectacular and really immediate, the results. And from my experience I've only done a bit of acupuncture on my sister and on a few friends that have been pregnant. They've also experienced a similarly very rapid improvement in their nausea. So I don't want you to answer as an academic. I want you to answer as a woman to woman. I'm your friend. Tell me what you think without any, imagine that we're not videoing this. There's no one critiquing you because you haven't got a factual thing. What is your experience with doing acupuncture on pregnant women? When you've had a good chance of it, how effective do you feel it is? Let's go for nausea. It's such a common, almost everyone has it in pregnancy. Like, not.
Oh, acupuncture for nausea, you mean?
I'm really trying to push you, Debra, to say no. It's really fantastic and it really works. I mean, I know it really works. I really think you have to. You've written a book about it. This is your life's work. It's okay to be. It's okay to share with us how amazing it is, and I understand that because you are an academic and you come from a background that's very rigorous, and you always have to fact check everything you say. I get that you're very conservative about this, but acupressure.
I would say that I'm very surprised if somebody comes back and saying that they haven't got an improvement. So whether that's with nausea or with back pain or with their vulval varices or their migraines or the insomnia, and that to me is kind of interesting if people don't have the improvement I expect, because it means that there's something there that I need to go and investigate. So
there's no silver bullet. There's no silver bullet to say,
gosh, that's made a real difference. So for me, it's a joy to work in that area, but people will have different responses. So I don't think that anything in medicine, I come from a nursing background, there is no 100. But I think I have, as I said, some of our research at the hospital clinic showed. So we take another thing, which is back pain. So that is supposed to get more intense as the pregnancy progresses, just because the stress on the musculoskeletal system, as with the growing weight of the baby and the structural changes. So one of the problems is that people are just told, well, it'll go away when you have your baby, and you just have to put up with it. And usually it's expected that it will get worse. So we just asked women to rate on a scale how they felt when they came in for first treatment. And then every week they rated the same scale, it was 1 to 6. And what we found is, nearly 90% of the women found that they had a clinically significant improvement in their life just through having, acupuncture for the back pain and pubic symphysis pain. So that could be, in part, I'm going to go a bit here into the academic field, in part because there was no control group, that could be time and attention, that could be having a rest, that could be doing something useful. But you must say that for those women, that actually made a real difference to their life for something that is actually supposed to get more and more intense. So the fact that they felt that was
that's fantastic. Now you do an amazing online sort of course and a mentoring system. Who is that course? Who can apply to do that course? Who is that course applicable to, available to? Who would you consider to take on a course like that?
Women having to access private care. So that's a course for acupuncturists. So what that is so actually I'm fortunate enough to do lectures and things and travel and do internationally and talk about the use of acupuncture in pregnancy. But one of the things is that it's quite, instead of just saying this is what I do or this is what you can do in practice, is actually to work with a small group of people, and we go through case histories and we sort of really deal with real life clinical situations. So it's sort of a certificate over 2 years where people become, we ask them to talk about what they would do in practice, and then there's Sarah Budd, who's a UK very experienced acupuncturist and a midwife, and Claudia Sikovic, who works in a hospital in New York in terms of pregnancy.
That's brilliant. I'm in the middle of doing a diploma. I don't have a medical background, and the idea is to build a real community of people. So I'm doing a 3-year diploma. Obviously, I've just had a baby, and I'm 41, and there's a lot going on for me. So because I've already, I believe in lifelong learning, and I don't necessarily believe that for me at this stage doing a degree is the right choice. So I'm going to be learning. It's not that I'm not, but it's more self-motivated learning, and also with this diploma. What is the criteria in terms of, you say yes, an acupuncturist, but would I be enabled, would I be considered to do this course with you because I don't have a university degree in acupuncture? Would that exclude me?
No, it doesn't have to be. It just has to be a qualification, acceptable qualification from, the training. So it's more not how to do acupuncture. It's more about giving clinical cases and working through them. And
so it's really a kind of helping people to integrate this sort of Western medicine into modern medicine and making sure you can communicate effectively with people, and
answer questions.
So important, communication, really key. And what's your experience? Do you think people in traditional medicine, do they feel that it's a benefit? Are they a bit skeptical, or do they sort of say, well, we've tried everything else, we don't have anything for that? Yeah, sure, have a go. What's your general feeling on the attitude towards?
So I've been great here. I've been in this field a long time. When I started, it was very much that there were a core group of midwives who really wanted to help women have better births, and they were referring to me as a private practitioner. And when they saw what was happening and how different it was from their normal practice, they wanted to learn how to do it, which led me into teaching little courses. So there's always been a core group that's been really interested. And then there's always been quite another group who've been very skeptical. And 20 years ago, they were very, very upset about the idea of witchery. You know, acupuncture was sort of, they were very, yeah, really, really. But, you know, over time, it's moved. So now we have a hospital clinic that's been running for 10 years. So when I started, it was very much that this was not acceptable for midwives to be doing this, and they wouldn't refer people to have acupuncture, and that they would absolutely discourage people from having it because they saw that it was, you know, such a weird thing. Whereas now it's very acceptable. So the obstetricians may not, no longer would tell women, oh, don't waste your money. You know, they would no longer say, oh, that's if you want to waste your money, dear, you go and do that. Now they are happy for people to have this, and we work in a clinic where we get referrals. They might not.
I think that's a huge accolade to you and your work and your consistency, your dedication, your thoroughness, your very measured approach and making it a very acceptable treatment. So I think, you know, huge thanks to you, Deborah, and all the women who you've treated and all the people you've trained that have treated women, and you know, it's your work is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Well, I would just say that it's a normalization. So if somebody comes across a woman who've had acupuncture and they're saying, oh, it's really helped my back and I feel so much better and I'm sleeping now, etc., and my heartbeat's gone, and the baby's turned, and you know, then they go on to have a normal vaginal delivery. One person, people, or even 10 of them, probably doesn't make much impact. But when you get 50, the midwives and the obstetricians start to think, oh, and then when you get 100. So I think it's just a process of it becoming normalized. And I think that takes just treating women and chipping away, and over time the results speak for themselves. So when I first started out, I thought it was obvious, and like you sort of said, you treat 4 people with nausea or 5 people and they have these fantastic results, and you wonder why no one else is kind of thinking that this is so fantastic. But by the time, just over time, the more that it occurs, the more attention, you know, people will get, and think, right, well, okay, that's a bit hard to write off as a placebo. 1 or 2 people they can write off as people think, oh yeah, that's just placebo effect, or those women would have got better anyway, or that was just whatever. So I think there's something
by the
about
book.
Numbers.
Yeah, that's the first place to go, and obviously, and also check out Deborah's amazing online acupressure resource, which is free.
So that's what I would
can
say to
donate
anyone who's
support
starting
that.
out or just wants to enter
Deborah,
this
thank you
field.
so much for your time. I really appreciate you making
the results
this effort to talk to me today. It's been fantastic and so informative, and thank you again.
No, that's okay. Well, good luck with your work. I'm really happy to support anyone who's interested in this area.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Take care.
It's a great field of practice, and that we just have such a lot to offer. It's just really, we haven't really achieved the potential yet of what of how we can help women who are pregnant with the medicine that comes from the historical Chinese medicine. So yeah. So thanks for the opportunity. Yeah. Okay. Bye.